A little bit of a different setup today, mainly because most of the work is not going into the tool which has been sitting in the bucket of vinegar for a couple of days. This drill bit. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the slurry of water and baking soda. And yeah, I'm going to sand it and oil it and clean it. But primarily what we're doing today is making a handle for it. Got a good chunk of hardwood here. This stuff, ash, I believe it is. We cut a chunk of that off, about twice the length of the drill bit, to make a T-handle to use the drill. This for bushcraft, camping and survival. So I'm going to make that. It's going to be odd drilling a hole to fit that bit, because I got to drill a hole through and then shape it square and tapered. So that's the main plan for today. But we'll start off with just cleaning, sanding, and oiling the bit itself. First thing, we got to take our filthy rag, find a clean spot, wipe it down. Which is actually going to be really easy because this thing was in amazing shape when I brought it in. Just doesn't have a handle. Look at that. Just comes right off of it. Don't need to sand it. I haven't got any visible rust on it. It's just clean. It's even sharp. All I've got to do is oil it down, but then it'll be ready. So that's the easiest part of this. And that part's done. Once I wipe my hand off again. So I gotta cut a piece of that wood off and drill, cut, and file a hole into it to fit that, to match the brace that would normally go on it. Now, if I had all the equipment I want to have, what I would be doing is cutting that off and putting a steel ring on it, about an inch wide, to fit a stick handle through it to be able to spin the bit. But I don't have that. So I'm going to make a handle the best I can. Hopefully it'll all work out. Well, I'm pretty much in the way of everything you can see. This should go in the bucket to get cleaned. Actually, it will. Get this out of the way for the moment. It's always going to be in the way, but and get it out of the immediate way. Something I'll point out: when you're sawing a piece of wood, start at a corner. Work your way back across, keeping it along the line you marked. Work your way down, keeping it along the line you marked. Then you know it's going to match on the other two lines. and you'll know you have a straight cut. You only put pressure down by the movement of your wrist and you're pushing forward. That's when you're cutting. You don't put any pressure on it and you pull it back. And use the whole length of the blade, from right at the tip as far as it'll cut. Try back. See, you go through this 1 inch by 2 inch hardwood very quickly. That's the first step. Now we'll clean this wood up. Now we'll show you what's next. Took some Windex and a rag and wiped most of the dirt and dust off of this as it was sitting outside for a while. Measured the length. Before I cut it, I measured the length twice. I'll do it again to mark the center of this board, which, there you go. Got a mark in the center. What we want to do is drill a hole through there, centered across the width and centered across the length. A circle that will fit inside this tapered end of the square, because that's where everything has to be marked out from. Drill that hole in first, and then we'll start shaping it out a little at a time. We got a hole drilled through. Now, seeing as I don't have not nearly, the tools required to do this properly, and also seeing as I don't want to damage this bit because it is such high quality, get that start screw in there. As far as I can, which is surprisingly far. I'm going to use a secret weapon. Line that up wherever we want it to be. Just using the weight of the hammer, not swinging hard enough to actually damage anything. Hard enough to mark that material a little bit so I know where to cut. There we are. We got it started. Show you up close. Got a little square shape around that round hole. That's where we're going to start cutting. I'm going to take the X-Acto knife, because I don't have a small enough set of files to fit in there and shape everything down. I'm going to be using knives, which ain't smart, but does the job. So I'll start carving on that. We'll see what happens. First, I'll get my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. The idea I'm going to carve this down a bit and tap it in a bit further. Carve it down a bit, tap it in a bit further, to such point as she comes out the other end. It ain't the smartest thing in the world. Gonna take quite some time because it being hardwood. I'm going to get a result, for fair or ill. Oh, is it enough to actually stand up now? Good. Trying to keep my cutting at the same high angle as the taper on that bit, which is difficult, but not impossible. There where it's supposed to be, and cut it. The reason I'm using hardwood is this is going to have a tremendous amount of force against it when it's being used. That could potentially affect it. Break the handle. So to mitigate those forces, I'm using a particularly hard piece of wood. Could just use pine or anything else, and spruce, and it'd break in 2 minutes. This way, maybe it'll last 5. Or maybe it'll last until I can replace it properly and do it in steel with a ring. There, you cocksucker. There. Let's see how far this one goes. How about I'll do that off camera, and then I'll show you when I get the hole more or less dealt with. Did you have to fabricate a whole new tool in order to facilitate the repair or work on another tool? You know you're getting somewhere. Hence, tiny fucking chisel. It's doing good clearing out that hole. I'll show you when I'm done what I'm doing. Great pain and effort. I managed to get this hole cut, tapers through, in order to allow for wear and use and expansion. It don't go all the way through. Goes in about 2/3 of the way. Sits in place like that. Now let's test it out, get function before form. Make sure it works, go through that, well, we got a spruce 1x2 here, we'll just drill through that. Then we'll shape the handles down. See what job this does. With that hole that was sitting in before. If you got a good bit, you keep sharp and keep clean. You got a handle. Even with one hand, this is doing the job. Not easy with this rough handle, but wow. It was better than I expected. So yeah, if you're doing your bushcraft stuff, building a shelter, and you gotta drill holes to carve wooden pegs to fit in, you could do worse. It's about a 3/4 inch hole, I think. I want to go through the other side. Like that. I slammed pretty hard on my finger there. I won't be surprised if I get a bruise or a blister. But I think that's effective. Right, now we just got to shape the handle. Make it pretty and comfortable. We do know it goes in and comes out easily. That's an advantage. Once our knives, rasps, and files together, carve this thing up if we can. Yeah. I should get to use one of the recent patients on the channel. Okay. So we're just going to draw out a rough shape. As high up as I can get you. There. We'll draw out a rough shape with a marker. Then we'll start cutting and trimming it down. We'll rasp to round it. And, yeah. Okay. Rough shape is going to be, where'd my marker go? There it is. We want the thickness to match the width as far as the handle goes. So it's that thick, that wide, which is about half. So we need a 1/4 off of each side. There. 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 And there. Some of the rough we can do with a saw. We want to keep as much of the structure of it as we can intact, so we're not going too close to that center. Okay. So we'll stay that far away from the hole on either side. There. So, the chunks that are going to get cut off. This ain't about precision, this is about function. I'm not too worried about my precision. I'm worried about this marker actually working. So that, and from there, angle cut it there, roughly. Give it a good shape, and we'll sand it out. I'll get a saw, start cutting that down. Then, once I got it rounded and shaped, I'll show you. As I'm cutting this, switching between tools and switching between directions, came to realize I can teach you another lesson. about specific tools. This is a combination saw. It's made to go across or along the grain of the wood. I primarily use it as a crosscut saw, which is to cut this way along a piece of wood, across the grain, cross-cut. This, which needs cleaning, is probably going to go in that vinegar pretty soon. This is a rip saw. This is made to cut along the grain piece of wood. The difference between this one, the teeth are a lot shorter and sharper angle. The kerf, being the bend of the teeth from one side to the other, is a lot less. And the teeth are finer. So I keep switching to this one when I'm doing along the grain, and I switch to that one when I'm doing across the grain. So if I got the right, if I don't have the right tools, I'll use the wrong ones. But if I got the right tools, I'm going to use the right tool. Okay, I'll get back to cutting that thing and show you when it's ready. Got the cutting done with the rip saw. Started the shaping using our wonderful 4-in hand here. Just rounding this edge down. And do the other 3 on this handle and the 4 on that handle. And then I'll sand it. Now once that's done, well, you can see what it looks like. It's going to be rough. It's just a camp tool. It's not meant to be pretty. Okay, I'll show you that when it's finished. Well, I'll show you when I'm ready to sand it. It's off angle, off center, off kilter. Good enough. Cuts aren't even, but it'll do the job. It'll last longer than having nothing, and it'll be better than having nothing at all. So let's get this thing sanded up, put some oil on it, put it away with the rest of the tools. I'm going to set you so you can see what you're seeing. There. There. I gotta get a better tripod. Finish this and then I can eat my dinner. Just grab sandpaper. All we're doing right now is just taking down the rough edges in case there's any splinters to get rid of those. I ain't gonna polish it. You don't need it. Twice over the length. That's enough. Twice over the center. Once. twice. Let's do this end. It's probably more than twice. All right, let that down. Put some oil on it, and it should be done. The WD-40 is not specifically made for woodworking, but specifically made for machines, not for wood. But does the job. Looks pretty good as far as finishing goes. Keep the wood from drying out. All right. There's your finished piece. A hand crank drill. You can just set aside in a backpack. Use when you have to build a shelter. Perfect. Or at least good enough. Talk to you next time.